Welcome to A Billion Realities, where we explore all topics related to spirituality, psychology, and the power of the mind. And now your host, Jessica Gerlach.
Why do I feel like I could die? Tell me lies, baby, I don't care what you say. Are you really?
Welcome back to A Billion Realities. Joining us today is co-host Kyle McNeil, founder of True Aspect Media and contributor at Hip Hop Canada. Hey, Kyle.
Hey, how's it going?
Great. Good to have you on. Our guest on the show today is an Italian-Canadian rapper that goes by the name of Young Stitch. Young Stitch has an exceptionally impressive background, taking his first professional rap battle at the age of 19 in the King of the Dot Battlegrounds in 2009. Not only did that experience give rise to his reputation as a respected rapper, it also is how he got the name Young Stitch.
Hey, thanks for having me. How's it going, guys?
So, Young Stitch, where are you joining us from today?
So I'm in Scarborough right now. I'm just actually going to be going to a video shoot real soon.
Awesome.
Scarborough, Ontario, Canada.
Excellent. And so you're filming a music video.
Correct. Yeah, I'm doing a track with my buddy Roche, that guy. So yeah, we're filming a little in studio video thing just to stay busy, get some content going during these hard times. You know what I mean?
Excellent. That's great. How many rap battles have you competed in, and which ones stand out the most?
I used to do the rap battle thing a lot. I was with King of the Dot for a long time there. I would like to say I did maybe 7 or 8 battles with them. But like, I guess my most impressive battle, or like the thing that really kind of took me to the next level, would be when I won BET at the Staples Center in 2018. I won the BET Freestyle Friday World Championships.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that was a pretty big highlight for my career. Like, winning that was pretty prestigious, and it was on national television and all that. So I'd like to say that was my biggest battle. But I mean, I've done a lot of crazy battles in King of the Dot. They date back, like you said, as far as 2009. So it's crazy how far time flies, you know?
Yeah, I actually saw that video of the BET battle. That was amazing, by the way. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was impressed. I was like, oh my God, he blew this guy away. So what gave you the confidence at such a young age to enter into rap battles?
You know what? I came up watching this thing called the World Rap Championships, and it was like pretty much like the same thing, guys battling each other. And I got really hungry with it at a young age. Like, I was always songwriting. I've always been making my own rap songs and stuff since I was like friggin' like 14 or 13 years old. I was really young when I started, but I was always good at kind of dissing people. You know what I mean? So when I saw that it was actually a thing, I was like, and not just in the movie 8 Mile, like it was actually a real life thing. I was like, oh shit. And that's sort of what happened. I got hungry and I started, and once I did really well in the beginning, I just sort of stuck with it.
That's awesome. I was thinking about that because it seems like such a scary thing for a lot of people, and it takes a lot of confidence. So I was like, he was really young when he started, but when I saw that rap battle, I was just like, wow, that was crazy. So yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it definitely takes some cojones to get in the ring, for sure.
For sure.
So, Young Stitch, I think we pretty much grew up in the same area, but I know me and you just met each other quite recently. Did you actually grow up around a lot of rappers?
I did. Like, I mean, well, since like my teen years, when I first started, it was pretty unheard of. Like, when I was like 13, I'm 30 now. So when I was 13, rapping, you know, being a white rapper from Toronto area, whatever, it wasn't really like a popular thing. You know, people like kind of it was shunned upon, you know?
Yeah, I totally remember that.
Yeah, but then when I turned like 13, 14, I met a group of friends, and we all shared similar interests, and it kind of just became easier from then at that point. And then you know, being in the scene, you rub shoulders with a bunch of people, you network, yada yada. So you eventually just kind of meet everybody the longer you're in the business.
Yeah, like I totally remember when hip hop became more socially acceptable to the more suburban crowd. You probably remember that.
For sure, it was a very
I was
transitional point.
Yeah,
for sure.
100%. Like I was probably around 15, 16 around that time because I'm a few years older than you are. When did
Yeah.
you realize that you wanted to actually do hip hop professionally?
I guess I guess when I started taking it professionally is when I was 17. I won a contest where I was flown out to LA to do a song with Be Real of Cypress Hill.
Oh,
And I was only like 17, and at that point, like I had already had my own home set up. I was already recording and doing tracks with people and stuff. But that was like the point, I guess, where I really like I came back home from that trip. You know, like I did a song with them. This song was on an album that was an HMV, yada yada yada. And that like I really had the spark at that point, and I really felt like, hey, this isn't just a hobby. This is something that I just worked with a platinum artist. You know what I mean? I'm like, maybe this is something I can actually do. And I said do. But
That's crazy though.
but
Amazing.
but yeah, so that's kind of what like really sparked me. I always loved music. I always was really inspired, but at that point I kind of had the vision was more clear at that point, you know what I mean?
You said that was through a contest, or how did that come about?
It was called The Harvest, and basically they had a bunch of submissions. Like I think there was like 2,000 different artists submitted into this contest where you would submit a verse or submit your best music, and they would choose people to come and do a compilation album with Be Real, which he would choose 20 different people from across sorry, I'm gonna shut my window here, from across the world, and like the States and Canada, and there's people even from Europe, yada yada. And yeah, so me and 19 other people got picked to go there out of like a couple thousand entries.
Oh, right on.
Unreal. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was really cool.
So, you know, I like to get into the kind of psychology behind things, right? So what was your childhood like? And would you say there was something about your childhood that had an impact on your becoming an artist?
You know what? It's funny. I've been asked that before, and it's a good question. But to be honest, I don't have much music in my family. Like, my grandfather was apparently a tenor back in the day, but like, we never like he speaks Italian. I can't even understand him most of the time. So he didn't really necessarily influence me, and I didn't really listen to that music. But like, yeah, there wasn't much music in my family. My family, if anything, was more of a sports family.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I didn't have any of that. I just, I guess my mom, like always as a young age, she always played new music. Like she was very modern like that. She didn't just stick to the old stuff. Whatever was new and modern at the time, my mom was always really good for playing that. I came up on 90s R&B and all that. So I guess my mom would probably be the influence in the sense of the music that I was surrounded by.
For sure, that makes sense. I can relate to that as well. And it does have a major impact on a child when you're constantly hearing new music. So that makes sense. So not everyone can freestyle, and it takes a unique mind and a whole lot of talent to whip out freestyles on the fly. So can you explain the creative freestyle process?
Yeah, a little bit actually. So basically, I mean, to be a good freestyler, how do I put this? You gotta really know how to tap into your vocabulary. You know, like most rappers, especially if you came up on the older styles, you got a wide vocabulary and a vast range of words that you've used over the years. I would say just be able to tap into that. And the key to good freestyling is knowing what you're gonna say a bar ahead. Like kind of like when you're driving, they tell you to not just look a car ahead of you. They want you to look far ahead of you so you can kind of see where you're driving to. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's very similar like that with freestyling. Like you want to think a couple bars ahead and sort of like if you know there's something you want to say in the tip of your brain, come up with a filler line before that, and then really in those couple extra seconds you've given your brain to sharpen that punch. You know what I mean? So you're not just kind of word vomiting a bunch of nothing. You're actually kind of saying something when you freestyle. That's it.
Right.
Think a couple rhymes ahead.
So what kind of mind, let's say, you know, I know this is kind of part of the same question, but, you know, it sounds like you have to have a really quick and sharp mind. You know, not everybody is that fast, right? So It kind of takes a lot of, it seems to me, like improvisational skills. So do you feel like you need an almost hyperactive mind, let's say, to be able to freestyle?
Um, it's weird because yeah, you do, but also like it's crazy because some like I've known not to put I'm not gonna say any names. Like I've known some slow ass people that can freestyle really well, and
Okay.
some of the best rappers, like writers, pen games that I know can't freestyle for shit. So it's like it's a really weird, like it's hard to
Wow.
yeah. It's I feel like it's a blade you. It's a balance of not just being smart, but it's also a blade you have to keep sharp for sure. Like it's something you got to work on. Like it takes practice. Like if I don't freestyle for like a couple months and then I'm at a party or with buddies and we start freestyling, like I'm rusty until I get back in the swing of it. It's definitely something a blade you got to keep sharp for sure.
That's intriguing. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So Stitch,
Yep.
obviously everyone knows that your forte is hip hop, but are there any other types of music that interest you, such as rock and roll or electronic types?
Yeah, like I listen to everything to be honest. The only genre I pretty much could never quite get right into was country. And I
Yeah.
got nothing against it. I could never just really get into it. Not to say there's not the odd song I can tolerate, but yeah, like if you saw my Spotify list, honestly, my playlist, you would not even think I was a rapper. Like I listen to everything. I listen to everything from rock to EDM to, you know, R&B to techno, jungle, everything, honestly. I listen to pretty much everything. Actually, hip hop might be one of the least things I've been listening to right now. My solo stuff is a lot more trap hop, like R&B influence.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm the same
Awesome.
way, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Last time I actually saw you was at the Onyx show in Oshawa, only a few days before everything shut down. Did you
Correct.
enjoy
Yes, I remember.
performing at that event, or how was your experience there?
It's surreal because you know what? Shout outs to Peter Jackson. He threw me on the show. It was dope. He had me VIP with the bottle and all that, and that was super lit. It was super lit to open up for Onyx again. I was blessed to open up for them before. They're legends, but I mean the show itself was kind of dead, and I chalked that out to probably COVID, and it was the beginning stages of it. Because then I went on road right after that. I had a couple shows, and they were kind of dead too. And the reoccurring excuse I was hearing is that people were just kind of shook to come out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I did notice that for sure, and it was a bit surprising, but
Yeah,
people are playing it safe, trying to stay away.
because we didn't even know what it
Yeah.
was at that point. You know, we couldn't really grasp it yet. Like it was just
No,
this dangerous thing floating in the air to everyone. You know what I mean?
yeah, and I actually talked about this when Zays came on the show, and I was saying that was the night when we found out that the NBA and the NHL shut down. I actually found out about that when I was in there, so
I agree. I
I
found
was
out at
in
the same
shock.
time. Yeah, yeah, me too.
I also noticed that you brought out a lot of guest performances during your set. What
I
was the
did.
idea behind that?
So basically, I'm in a really transitional period right now. Not only between the kinds of music I'm doing, but the between my solo and my group stuff. Because as you know, I've been doing the Lunchroom Poets thing, and it took off. It had some really good legs. You know what I mean? So I've got a good, solid group of homies that I work with. And I've always been a giver. Like at the end of the day, if I get a really dope opportunity and it's close enough for men to come out and support that are my homies that I do good music with, and you know, I'm known for throwing people on my set and throwing guest performers on my set. And this one in particular, I kind of knew it was going to be an all over the place sort of show. I kind of had the sense I'd heard that it wasn't completely going to be packed out, yada yada. So I thought, you know what? I thought it was a good time to do a couple new things with a couple fresh faces on stage and give the people that did show up a little treat.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that brings me to another interesting question. So how do you feel before and during a rap battle, and how is that different than doing a practice show?
I would say that the difference, I mean, I don't get nervous for shows. It's weird, but like when it comes to battling, you get nervous. I feel like it's because it's less focused on the whole performance itself. And like, I mean, don't get me wrong, you still need to perform properly, but it's more focused on the actual words, right? Like during a show, you got a homie on stage with you to catch a double if you mess up. You got a beat in the background blaring that sort of disguises any hiccups. You know what I mean? But when you're in a battle, like everyone, it's just silence, right? Like it's just silence listening to your words. And the second you mess up or choke one word or something, like there's a lot more pressure when you fumble opposed to on stage, I find. So I feel
For
like
sure.
when you're practicing for a battle, you really gotta like be super duper duper tight. as to where on a show you can have a little more fun. I feel like you can have a couple drinks in your system because you've rocked out to these same songs a million times. It's not like a battle is always fresh material for every single battle, right? Like it's a fresh verse you've written, a fresh opponent, whatever. So you've really got to like tap in. And then you got the whole online groups because it's so clicky now, battle rap, and people really dissect it. So like, I mean, you fumble one little thing in battle rap and like, people are talking about it for ages. Like, it's wild.
That's a lot of pressure. I can't even imagine.
It is. And I like the pressure sometimes, but constantly it got a little much. That's why I kind of took a break from battle rap. Like, I'll partake in the odd big thing if it makes sense. But I mean, for the most part, I really enjoy making music. That's sort of my thing.
That's awesome. But, it was part of the, building blocks of your whole career too, right?
Exactly. 100%.
That's awesome. Yeah. So how would you say you've evolved as an artist from when you started out, as a teenager? You were so young.
How I've evolved, like, in every way. I'd like to think, like, I'm the type, I hear something that's even 2 years old of mine, and I'm kind of like, this shit's old, this shit sucks. I feel like I'm constantly evolving, and I feel like it's something that and any artist will know this, like, you don't stop evolving. Like, it's not like you reach a certain point and you're just like, oh, like, I'm LeBron now, like, there's nothing else I can do. Like, during even sports too, I find they could probably always be improving. I feel like music's the same. Like, you're constantly learning. There's constantly, every session I try something new or do something else, and I'm like, oh wow, that's cool, I've never done that before. I mean, as long as you stick with something long enough and care about it enough, you're going to improve in every way, I find. So I feel like over the years, it's just like night and day compared to my old stuff versus now. You know what I mean?
That's amazing that you have that in your mind, that you are always evolving. So that keeps you fresh and innovative, and to continuously, reinvent yourself. So that's awesome.
That's the way to be, yeah.
Yeah. So I know that the hip hop world can be is very competitive. So what kind of attitude or approach to life do you feel is needed to be in that industry?
Well, hip hop is crazy. It's a really cutthroat game. It's definitely a league of its own. You definitely have to have a good head on your shoulders if you want longevity in the game. If you're like, anyone can make a hit and have it just blow up randomly without them doing any real work or putting any real work in, because the way the world works right now, it's a singles market. I mean, and the shit that people are into overall, it's a very gimmicky game a lot of the time. So it doesn't take much to get a hit out there and go viral these days. Like, anything can go viral, right?
True.
So to have longevity, you need to have a good mind state, and you need to care about actually making good music, because music is also, as much as there's timeless aspects to it, it's also very trendy. And the trends in music constantly change. And if you can only do one style of music, and if you can only you're really nailing that new style, but you can't do anything else, like, you're kind of doomed when in 4 years, maybe that super bubblegummy trap hop isn't popular anymore. And maybe J. Cole, Kendrick style of rap really becomes popular again. Because that's kind of the way it is going. Because fads just keep recycling, right? Fads just keep doing 360s and eventually come back around. And then those new guys, unfortunately for me, I can do all the stuff that these guys can do, but a lot of the new guys can't do that, the actual rapping. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So my advice is to have a good head on your shoulders and to just be ready to adapt with the way music goes. Don't take yourself too seriously, and be ready to friggin' spend a lot of money investing in yourself.
And diversify or die.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
No, 100%. I know we've touched on this already, but I used to be really big into rap battles back in the late 2000s and the early 2010s. Would you say you really enjoyed your experience battling in King of the Dot back then?
At the time, it was like my world. I loved being a part of the whole scene, and it got a lot of eyes on me very quickly. Within 1 or 2 battles, I'd pull up to the events. I went from being a nobody that no one even knew to everyone, oh, yo, Stitch is here. So it was really dope. Those guys are really awesome. They're super supportive people, like Ganik and Gully and Avi. Those guys always are putting people on and looking out for people and constantly doing favors for people.
Yeah, they're really good guys.
Yeah, they are. I got nothing but good things to say about the faculty and the whole league itself. It's really dope.
I remember the first battle I saw you in, I think it was versus Poe Rich.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not sure if that was your first one ever, but that was the first one that I actually
That I
remember
think
seeing you
was
in.
I did Official Red, then Sketch Menace, then it was it Poor Rich after that? It might have been my fourth battle. I think Rich was my fourth battle. Oh yeah, because Tiggs was my third. Then it was Poor Rich.
Right on. So
That was my fourth.
now in 2020, would you ever consider returning to King of the Dot or another league?
Well, it's actually funny you say that because, to be honest, I'm not inspired really by a cappella battling. It just doesn't. The format doesn't really excite me anymore. I'm kind of like a slave to the beat type of artist. But I've been having some fun online, like doing these online things where I've been battling a couple of dudes on beats, just kind of warming up because I don't know if you heard, but me and Organic and the team, King of the Dot, we're actually starting a side project through King of the Dot called King of the Dot Beatdown. And
I did. I remember seeing that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's going to be basically King of the Dot just on beats.
And you're hosting it.
It'll be on beats, and I'll be involved in it. And eventually, I'll probably get in the ring as long as the opponent makes sense. But yeah, I'd like to get back in the ring if it was an on beat format for sure. I would definitely be down for that.
Or maybe if the price is right, would you say?
Well, I think when the price is right, yeah, then
Yeah.
That's different. You know? If they really got a bank for that and they want the return of Stizzy, then yeah, the price is right for sure for acapella. But I do it a lot cheaper for on beat.
We filmed a video together the last day of the summer in 2019 with Zays, McKee, and your boy Reality. Do you have any memories of note from that day?
I do. I remember us tiptoeing over heroin needles.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Oshawa. If you're not familiar with Oshawa, is like it's a very grungy place over here. It's definitely the ends for sure. And we were right downtown in one of those alleys, and you could tell there's a lot of drugs and addictions in Oshawa, and we were definitely right at the high peak of it.
The heart of that.
Yeah, the heart of the jungle. And we were just tiptoeing over, like constantly you have to look down because you're ready to get poked.
That's brutal.
I remember I picked one up with like a little bag and I was like trying to throw it at my boy.
I think you were throwing those at me. It's all holding the camera.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Oh,
and then I'm like, yeah, maybe this wouldn't be good if this boinked someone. A little poke.
I think McKee, that was McKee's first video or series video that he was ever in, and he did pretty well in that.
Oh, for real? Yeah, he's actually pretty dope. So that's crazy that's his first thing.
Yeah, I always encourage McKee to do more tracks, but we'll see if he gets there or not. I know you recently sent me some new tracks. The best one that I heard so far is probably called, I think it's called The Ones.
Oh, those ones.
Yeah, the new ones he sent me.
Okay, yeah, that's my new single I just dropped 2 weeks ago.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that one, I'm feeling that one the most, and we actually have a clip right now for our listeners to hear, so here it is.
Hey.
Yeah, I breathe hate, sitting in a sand trap, chipping for a week straight. Yeah. Move it, I don't need no e-brake. Never play it, when I do, I win it for the team. Say who they want, who the one they call when the trouble hit. Get the work, then we put in work, that's a double shit. Who the boss, speaking to a god with that upper lip. Too much sauce, let them pay me twice, it's a double dip. Baking soda, I got baking soda. Y'all ain't bout it, y'all do nothing bout it when I take it over. See me and they speaking backward. Little taste of Yoda, puppet master, I can take control of every brain you hold up. I be on some next shit you thought that y'all was blessed with. I went and copped the necklace from flicking off my left wrist. Shit, I got all the leverage.
So Stitch, what was the inspiration behind that song, Those Ones?
Those ones, that was pretty much like I needed something that was a little more hype. Like my direction that my album was going was it's sort of dark and a little gloomy, I'd say. So that track was just something a little more hype, just kind of about being in the trap with the mans and just grinding, and especially the hook really touches in on just fake people. Like it's just like, yo, you know those ones, you know those guys that are always like claiming to be your boy that aren't really, you know, those fake girls that are all up on your phone trying to get at you because you're buzzing right now. Like just those ones, you know those ones.
We all know those ones.
You know those ones. You know those ones.
We definitely do know those ones. And they fall away when things get rough too. So
Oh, of course. Yeah, when you need them, they ain't there. Just when you don't need them, they happen to be right in your face.
Yeah, they want some of that limelight.
Exactly. Which, do you blame them?
Well, not really.
Yeah.
So, who are some of your favorite rap icons that you personally shared a stage with or worked with, and why?
Who I would or who I have?
Who you have worked with?
I've opened for a bunch of artists. I've opened for Machine Gun Kelly, and I've shared the stage with artists. I've shared the stage with a lot of artists. I got to meet Nipsey Hussle and share the stage with him before he passed away. Rest in peace.
Wow.
Ray Sremmerd, ASAP Ferg, Machine Gun Kelly, Exhibit, Swollen Members, Classified, Nelly Furtado, Ellie Goulding.
Excellent.
The list goes on. I had a couple big events there. I did the We Day celebrations because I was a co-writer of the song Free the Children with the Canadian Tenors.
Oh,
So
wow.
I got to go to a few different big shows and meet a lot of cool people. And yeah.
Who were some of the ones that really impressed you, that stood out to you?
Like performance-wise or as people?
Both. We want both.
I've met probably my favorite celebrity I ever met was actually Clive Owen. He was actually really cool. Me and Clive got a little sippy one night. We were at this after party thing, and we kind of grew fond of each other for that moment. So we were just laughing and cracking jokes and sipping a little too much, and we got rowdy, and that was fun. He was really, really lit. Performers like J. Cole was a really good performer. Nipsey Hussle killed it. MGK is a really, really, really good performer. Like his live shows are bananas. Girls are, taking off their clothes and he's hanging off the rafters and pouring liquor in people's faces, and it's fun for sure. I'd say that was the hypest show. Like I think MGK puts on a really good show.
Cool. So how did the idea for the Lunchroom Poets come about?
So that was actually my buddy Kenzo. It was his brainchild. And he basically, I guess he was all stoned watching the Wu-Tang documentary one night. And I guess he was seeing how that all got thrown together. And I think that's what actually gave him the inspiration to start Lunchroom Poets. But I had initially, I had known B1. He introduced me to B1. I showed him Lotus and Philly, and he already knew KP. Me and KP went way back through battling for years. So it was kind of just his idea to just throw it all together.
Very cool. So would you say you prefer to rap in a group or solo?
That's a good question. I enjoy both equally.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy the group thing just because, it's a great group of guys. They're super duper talented. And it's a lot easier, if I'm being honest, to work on a song with 5 people because you have a lot less writing you have to do.
Makes sense.
Everyone's got like a 12 or 16 bar verse and you're kind of, oh shit, we're done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Solo stuff takes a lot more work. I feel like I care about everything I do, but I feel like when it's solo, it's only you on the record and there's a lot more pressure. Also because my new album, a lot of people are expecting, they really want it to be dope. So there's a lot of pressure to make it dope. So the word anticipation kind of comes to mind where you just, you overthink something and hear it so many times, even though it was perfect in the beginning, you start hating it. So that happens a lot as an artist, for sure. Right
on. So what other types of collaborations or business opportunities have sprouted from your rap career, and how important is that to you to kind of dabble in other things?
You know what, the opportunities, come more frequently, the more active you stay. I have a lot of projects on the go right now. I have a couple things that are actually really cool going on the go. Unfortunately, I'm not able to discuss them at the moment until they're a little more solidified, but I'll definitely give you guys the update when I'm able to. But there's
awesome.
a lot of cool things on the plate right now. And from all the EPs and projects I'm doing to the show opportunities, they just come more frequently and fuller, and the collaborations, many more artists want to work, you know what I mean? So it's just been a blessing in every way. And I guess the overall blessing is just the name gets heard. A lot of people, I go do things now and people know who I am and they're aware of what I do and what I can do.
And are you involved with any brands or anything like that?
I have a couple different sponsors. Like lately, the clothing sponsor I've been rocking with is Lost Boys. They always keep me dripped. So, you know, I'm good with my sponsors. Whenever I get sent stuff, whether it's chronic or edibles or merchandise or clothing, I always wear it in videos and tell people to go follow them and, you know, get them some attention for sure.
That's great. That's important.
For sure.
As most people in the Canadian rap community know, you won the 2018 BET Freestyle Contest out in LA. How was that experience?
That experience was absolutely incredible. I was in LA with two of my best friends in the world. I had my boy Reality, who's actually sitting right next to me now, and I had my boy Payday with me, and they flew out just to support. So I was in LA, you know, ready to do the most, you know, biggest, most important thing in my life with my two best friends. It was hella lit. The whole experience was crazy. You know, we were partying and, you know, going to after parties and getting exclusive passes because we were part of the BET family for the weekend. And we went to the BET Awards, and I performed at the BET Experience, performed at the Staples Center in front of 30,000 people. It was probably like the coolest experience of my life, to be honest.
That's amazing, man. How did you apply to be in that contest, and how long was the process from start to finish?
Okay, so basically, Bishop Brigante, shout outs to Bishop, he messaged me because I didn't even know about it. And he's like, look, Freestyle Friday's coming to Toronto. They're giving Toronto, New York, LA, and London, UK a chance to, you know, to be the best in their division and move on to the finals. So he's like, bro, you got to do this. Like, because I do this segment called Stitch Bars. And basically, it's the same kind of shit, just bodying verses and shit. And he's like, yo, this would be perfect for you. You got to do this. And I almost missed it. Like, it was pretty much at the very end when I finally submitted my audition via YouTube. I got submitted, or I got accepted through then. So I made it to the actual show at the YouTube studio in Toronto, where I had to face off against 32 others, I believe. It was 32 others that were picked out of a certain amount of entries or whatever, right? So we battled, all of us, at the YouTube studio in Toronto. I won that. So BET flew me out to LA, and then that's where I won the whole thing in LA.
Oh, right on, man. What is it something you'd recommend for other Canadian MCs to try out?
If they were to do it again, for sure. I mean, you gotta beat me. You gotta beat me. So they may not try, but no, but yeah, definitely, man. Anything cool like this, I'd say go for it. Life's short. Don't ever not go for something. If there's an opportunity that means something to you, fucking go for it.
Yeah, I totally agree. One thing I was personally curious about is, did you notice an immediate increase in popularity after the BET show was televised, or was it a gradual thing?
You know what? It was both. Initially, like right away, like obviously because I was just on television, my Instagram was posted on the thing. So instantly right away, I got a quick, I want to say 1,000 organic followers, just like that first like moment when it happened. But then gradually, yes, like I just noticed like an increase. They started going up way more frequently, and just things started happening more. I guess when people see something like that, especially people my age and kind of around my age, like BET Freestyle Friday was a huge part. 106 & Park was a huge part of our come up being a part of hip hop. You know what I mean? And I used to get excited to watch it every Friday. I don't know about anybody else, but we'd always
I used to watch excited all the time.
Oh yeah,
I remember it too.
Jim,
106 & Park. It's 6 o'clock. Yo, 106 & Park is on. Yeah.
Yes.
And free. Yeah, so it was huge, man. So to be part of that was just absolutely incredible. So I definitely suggest anyone to do it, for sure. Amazing.
I love that advice. What do you have to lose, right? Something you're passionate about, something you love, like go for it. You
said it. Yeah, what do you have to lose? Exactly.
Yeah. I think a lot of people have a fear of failure, fear of success as well, right? But you got to put that all to the side and just do your thing. So I'm going to say this next thing. Well, it's a question I have as an American, but I feel part Canadian because I lived in Canada for 10 years, okay? My kids were born there.
Hey, but, I was going to say, your accent doesn't really seem too New York.
Yeah, New York.
New York, I need a hot dog.
Yeah, I lived in Toronto for 10 years, so did you feel any biasness in the BET contest due to being a Canadian rapper?
No, you know what? It's crazy you say that because there was a time and a place where it was definitely hella biased with being Canadian. Like people did not want to see you win. But
Mm-hmm.
I feel like mans like Drake and Tory Lanez and Weeknd and Bieber, they kind of changed the game for that. Like anytime I've gone to the States, honestly, in the last, 7, 8 years, 9 years for music related stuff, it's always love because men's like Jersey, paved the way to make it cool to be Canadian. There was a long time there where it wasn't cool to be Canadian, you know what I mean? But now I think people finally see that we're a mecca. And I was getting nothing but love. Like when I tell people I'm from Toronto, actually, it's kind of weird. It started working the opposite way than it used to. Like now they're like, what? You're from Toronto? Like I want to go to Toronto, which it never, ever, ever used to be like that. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. And
Yeah.
I love to hear this. That makes me really happy. Most of the people I would talk to in the US about Toronto, they either have been there and loved it, or they're like, oh, that's one of the places I definitely want to go soon.
Exactly. So. And people had no desire to go before Jersey, you know what I mean? People thought we lived in igloos or something.
For sure.
Shout out to Drake.
Yeah, shout out to Jersey for showing the people we don't live in igloos in Toronto.
That's hilarious. So, we touched on this a little bit early on in the interview, but what exactly have you been up to since the COVID-19 lockdown started back in March? And what are your plans for, when the world kind of opens back up completely?
So that's a good question. We're actually hella prepared for, we've been stacking content. I actually just wrapped up an EP with my brother, Reality. It's an 8-song, actually it's an album. It's eight songs. It's something fresh. He just came off his last project that did really well for him, and I just came off an album. And we've been honestly road partners, road dogs, best boys for fucking ever. So it's finally time that we did a project together and gave it to the people. So that's the first thing we're ready to drop. But we also have the Lunchroom Poets album that's completely finished, ready to go as well. I'm working on my solo album, and I have about 5 other duo EPs that I'm working on with other artists as well. I feel like it's an EP game these days. I feel like doing one song with an artist I make a good song with isn't enough. I need 3 or 4 or 5 songs with that cat. You know what I mean?
That's really cool.
Yeah, so I've been doing EPs a lot. Yeah, so I got 6 on the go right now.
You've been busy since the lockdown. That's amazing.
I write a lot, yeah.
So that brings me to my next question, actually. How important is it to set goals for you? And, do you plan out your career, or are you just in the moment doing what you're passionate about and you just let things unfold?
It's a little bit of both. You definitely have to stay hungry. It's something you gotta, like I said, it's a blade. You gotta keep sharp, not even just freestyle, but the whole game itself, because you can only do so much. At the end of the day, opportunities you can't just chase after every opportunity. Unfortunately, some stuff has to be put in your lap. Some stuff's about who you know. It's about connections. It's about just staying active. I find that you get more opportunities when you stay at it and you're constantly doing it. The second people do a 1-2 thing and then they start feeling like they're owed stuff, you're not going to get anywhere. Promoters these days, they kind of want you to be accomplished already. You know what I mean? So if you really want to get thrown on shows, you really want to all that, you kind of got to stay driven, and that's it.
So, there's a ton of young artists out there who are obviously, trying their talents with the hip hop career, rap, let's say any artist who's struggling with their confidence in that particular industry. What kind of specific advice would you give them?
The specific advice I would say, well, for starters, like I touched on earlier in the interview, is it's key to be able to do more than one thing. Be ready for music to shift. Be ready for the style of music that's cool to change, and be willing to adapt with it. That's one key tip I would say. Don't just go full-fledged, I'm just gonna do, auto-tune emo rap forever, because that won't be cool forever. Even though it's cool, really cool right now, it won't be cool forever. So get ready to change with music. I would say get ready to invest a lot of money into it, because it does cost a lot of money and you're not going to see any return for the longest time.
That's good advice.
Yeah. And then also, I guess, the final advice I would say is just, keep a good head on your shoulders. be cool to people, be nice to people, because you're going to need favors one day. And if people remember you're an asshole, that'll always stick with them.
I think that's really excellent advice, especially because, you know, I know from even in the entertainment industry, the film industry, it's so important to build relationships, and the ones that last, you know, they come back around. Like I was talking with, you know, Maestro Fresh West and my best friend, Gerald Barclay. They've known each other for like 20 plus years, right? They're still working together. They come back around and they help each other later on. So
Exactly.
it's an amazing example of what you just said. So I think that's fantastic advice for people, because a lot of people burn bridges.
For sure, because there's a lot of egos in hip hop, and a lot of people do a 1-2 cool thing and think they get this chip on their shoulder. They start acting like they've deserved something, they've earned something, and it's like there's a lot of you gotta put a lot of legwork in before you get any real deserved clout. You know what I mean?
Yeah, great advice. Thanks for that.
No problem.
Stitch, what would you say your music stands for and why?
My music's pretty I guess it depends. It depends which of my music. If it's my hard body shit, it's all pretty self-reflective. It's just different moods of mine. Like I do my traps, my R&B stuff, and that's more when I'm kind of more in an emotional mood and I'm just trying to get some shit off my chest. I make it for the people that are sad when they need something to kind of confide in, something to make them feel not as crazy. Or I do that hard body shit when someone just wants to hear me kill something, and I go above and beyond with that because I'm trying to just convey that aggression that I know they want to hear at that exact moment. So if they're angry, they pump that shit and they're like, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically your message might vary track to track pretty much.
Definitely does, for sure. Hella contradictive.
That's great though, because it's art, it's expression, right? So it's perfect.
That's it. I feel like there's no one mood. Like, you know what I mean? Like music's a reflection and an expression to me. So I've got tons of different style stuff. One that'll make you cry, one that'll make you want to punch someone in the head, one that'll make you want to dance. You know what I mean? Like I got a lot of different zones.
You know what? That's so cool, because that's quite literally the human experience. So
that's it. Exactly.
What can we expect next from the career of Young Stitch?
The overall goal right now is to get this big, my first official debut album, because I did that album with Dub J, but that's a dual album. He was a producer collaborating with me. I want to get my solo album out. I want it to be a timeless piece of work, just because I've been an artist for so long and never put out a full proper album that's just me, that's no collabs, that's just all my beat selection and my songwriting and all that. So I'm excited for that, just so I can be confident enough to be like, okay, I did that. Whether it does well or not, that's just what I really want to do. But other than that, I have some cool stuff on the plate that, like I said, I wish I could talk about, but hopefully it goes through, and you guys will be seeing a lot more of me if it does. Sure.
Excellent.
Right on. Looking forward to that. Where can people find your music or follow you?
So yeah, hit me on Instagram, official Young Stitch. Find my music on YouTube, Spotify, basically anywhere they're doing streaming now. I got my music up everywhere. And yeah, if you just type in Young Stitch, pretty much anywhere, I should be the most important one to pop up.
Great. So before we close this out, you know, I think we all want to know, and I'm sure our listeners want to know, what is your message to the world, if you could shout one out right now?
Honestly, my message to the world, if I could shout one out right now, I would say that life is hella short. And I would say that if you want to do something, just freaking do it. Do it right now. Like that. It's like that Shia LaBeouf gif. It's like that little clip. Just do it. Just go and do it right now. Like, honestly, like there's so many opportunities that I would have missed out on and maybe not succeeded in had I just said F it and not even tried. Like, just do it. If you got something that you want to do it. If you think you can be a rapper, do it. Just know it's going to take work, and you got to freaking do the shit. You can't half-ass it. Just go out and bust your ass and do it.
That's fantastic. I really loved having you on today. This has been amazing. And, you know, I'm so excited for people to hear your insightful words, because you had so much, you know, great content, and just the way that you think and about your music and just your whole approach to your career and to life. It's brilliant. So thank you so much for being on today. And yeah, guys, check him out. Follow him on social media, download some music.
I appreciate you guys having me. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. It was our pleasure. So you take care, Young Stitch.
All right, guys. Cheers. Have a safe one.
Cheers.
Enjoy your COVID experience.
Yeah, you too.
All right, guys.
Peace.
Ciao. Ciao for
Peace.
now.
Ciao.
Feeling us, God. Watch the clock. If I'm Eminem, y'all be Papa Doc. Trying to block a shot. Shaquille in the paint when I got the rock. I'm angry as Kaepernick walking off for the field. Tell me it's real. Say that you moving. You been trying to...
Thank you for listening to this episode of A Billion Realities with your host, Jessica Gerlach. Visit us online at abillionrealities.com and follow us on social media at A Billion Realities. A Billion Realities is available on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, Alexa, Reach.tv, or your favorite podcast service. A Billion Realities is a proud member of the HC Universal Network family of podcasts. For more great episodes and content, visit hcuniversalnetwork.com today. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and until next time, remember, we are all but one of a billion realities.